I enjoy being with the elephants. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm just relaxing with the elephants. Just because they're very calm, they're very polite, they're very intelligent. It is much, much better to work with the elephants than with human beings.
Spending a day with the elephant is good than spending a day in town.
Emotionally, they're identical to us. In many ways, they're better than us.
If humans can live like elephants, then you will never hear these wars and enmities between people or nations. This world will be a very nice place to live in.
In a few years, this magnificent animal we call the elephant will be no more. But there are a few men and women in East Africa working tirelessly to ensure that this day is delayed or that it never arrives. Approximately 100 elephants are killed annually in Africa as a result of poaching.
You know, unfortunately, elephants have teeth, the ivory tusks, and ivory has always been a very valuable commodity. It's called white gold. Tusks belong to the largest land mammal. There's a lot of mythology attached to that, and there's always been a great demand for ivory in places like Japan, China. So this is the problem that we have, and it's the demand in China that is driving the poaching. I'm Daphne Sheldrick. My title now is Dr. Dame Daphne Sheldrick because I was knighted by the Queen. Well, I'm born in Kenya. My father came here in 1907 when he was a child of 7. And we had a farm at Gilgil, and so I was born into animals. I met my second husband, who was the founder warden of Tsavo National Park. David was in the Second World War, and then after the Second World War, when Kenya was creating the national parks, he was headhunted for the job as warden of Tsavo National Park, and he died 6 months later.
Daphne Sheldrick founded the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust in memory of her late husband, and it was the first of its kind anywhere in the world to rear orphaned elephants.
This is just the end of the night. We want to start the day, and we just have to get the last feed of the night. So the elephants are ready, are waiting for their milk. We feed them every 3 hours, day and night. So they know the next feed is about just before 6 or exactly at 6. And we are almost at 6, so they're waiting for the milk. Each elephant has got one keeper. The keeper spends in the night with the elephant for the purpose of feeding them every 3 hours, covering them with blankets when they lie down to sleep to keep them warm, and they're also keeping them company. My names are Edwin Lusichi. I'm 35 years of age. I really wanted to become a priest. While at school, that was my career. But I used to stay close to this center. And one day I was here, and they had received a call of going to rescue an elephant. So the man in charge asked me if I'm ready to come and stand in for a short while the rest are going for a rescue, so that when the rest come back, I'll be relieved. So I accepted and I started to work. That was in the year 1999. In the first place, it was a job for me. Because when I came here, I was in need of a job. But later on, it changed. It's a passion. I love it. I like it. It's no longer a job, because for me, I enjoy being with the elephants. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm just relaxing with the elephants. Just because they're very calm, they're very polite, they're very intelligent. It is much, much better to work with the elephants than with human beings.
Edwin and his team of elephant keepers' daily schedule is to wake up at 6, take the elephants out to the park and spend the whole day with them, feeding them on milk every 3 hours before bringing them back to their stables in the evening.
Come on, Kanjoro, come. As a keeper, you have to love the animals. If you don't, the animals will not love you and you can't work with them. Elephants are very clever, they're very intelligent. They can tell who loves them, who does not. And if you don't love them, they're very selective. They can decide not to associate with you. When they suck on our fingers, they feel comfortable, they feel like they're relaxed, they feel they're okay. It's like the little human baby with the mother. Sometimes with the human baby sucking their own fingers, the way they feel, that is what she's doing and how she's feeling.
With all the orphans being milk dependent, Edwin and his team of elephant keepers have prepared a formula using a powder with warm water to mimic the natural milk from the mother they would have had in the wild.
Mutara site zimenipata.
Ongeza mtu sita.
Kwa hivyo unaleta 9.
Kodi ya kwanza tu, grupu ya site. Karibu kwako, hapo kwa hiyo kama kako katikati hapo.
Sawa. Site is coming.
Stay hapo.
Kiari ndio. Wewe. Come on, Shakbi. Wewe.
All elephants are very, very maternal. Even here in the nursery, little babies that are only 2 years old, that are like a child of 2, a human child of 2, are caring and motherly towards the smaller ones. They all want to be close to the little one, to protect it, to love it, and to comfort it, and so on. They can teach us humans such a lot about caring and about compassion. You know, they have all the best traits of humans and not many of the bad.
Each of these elephants have got their own character or personality, just like human beings, and Edwin has given them names depending on where they were rescued or the reason that caused them to be orphans.
Come on, Cites. Here is Cites, an elephant called Cites, who is almost 2.5 years old. He's an elephant that reminds us of the ban on the trade on ivory, because this baby was found on this same day when Cites, the treaty, successfully managed to ban the trade on ivory for 3 years. And we had to give this name, we had to name this elephant after this treaty because it was a big success for the sake of all the elephants. She's very, very cheeky. She's sometimes mischievous. She wants to investigate around. She wants to find who you are. Sometimes she wants to cause problems. My happiest moment is when we rescued an elephant that was almost dying, an elephant that everybody had given up. This elephant is called Suguta. She was only bones left, just a skeleton. And when she was found, everybody said, this is dead, just leave it. But we rescued this baby and brought her in the nursery. I took all the initiative to concentrate on this elephant, and after 2 days on a drip, this elephant started to show some signs of life. After another 2 days, this elephant would walk up and stand and feed. And now this elephant is in Savo on the process of being reintroduced. I always think about her in my memory, how she came in and how she was. And I feel a lot of joy in my heart. I always say, if there's something that God will say I did good, was to save this elephant.
When you raise elephants, you have to replace the family that they've lost with a human family, and there must be enough people to represent a family so that they walk with the elephants just as they would in a herd of other elephants. The humans replace the family, and a different keeper will be sleeping with each elephant every night, so they don't get too fond of one person. That's a mistake I made with the first elephant I raised. It became too attached to me, and when I had to leave it, because my elder daughter was getting married and I had to organise the wedding in Nairobi, that little elephant died of a broken heart. Well, here in Nairobi is the elephant nursery. This is where the infant elephants come. The ones that are very fragile, the ones that are fully milk dependent. This is where they come, and this is where the intensive care happens. And if we can get the elephant to 2 years old and it's doing well, then we transfer it to one of our 2 rehabilitation stations in Salvo.
Just like ours.
As night falls, Edwin and his team know very well that they have made a positive impact in the future of these infant elephants, in readiness for their reintegration back to the wild at Tsavo National Park. This is Tsavo National Park that houses the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust Voi unit, responsible for reintegrating orphaned elephants who have graduated from the nursery based in Nairobi back to the wild.
My names are Joseph Sauni Agostino. I come from Taveta in Taita Taveta County, and I'm working with the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust at the Voi Rehabilitation or Reintegration Center.
Tsavo National Park is the largest park in the world, covering 4% of Kenya's total land area and home to herd upon herd of wild elephants.
I've done this work for 8 years now, and I like my job. I like it so much. Spending a day with the elephant is good than spending a day in town. And they do understand keeper's language. Yeah. Es lempote is a greeting. You just want to say jambo and also get the smell. How are you doing today, this morning? And then she's fine with that.
Well, these elephants are all rescued from all parts of the country, and they're usually found by tribal people or by Kenya Wildlife Service. The mother's been shot for ivory, and the orphan is an orphan. Now, the elephant family will look after a baby to the very best of their ability, but there are not very many females that are lactating that will have enough milk to be able to nurture 2 babies. And no mother elephant will jeopardize the survival of her own calf to actually feed an orphan. To an elephant, the family is all important, as indeed it is to humans. And one has to always think of elephants in a human way. Emotionally, they're identical to us. In many ways, they're better than us.
As the day continues and temperatures in the park soar above 30 degrees, the orphaned elephant family, led by their matriarchs, Lesanju, make their way into the park. Already dozens of wild elephants make their way across the park in search of water and pastures. The keepers, led by Joseph, are toe-to-toe with the elephants, watching their friends feed as they interact with their wild colleagues.
This is Lesanju from Samburu. And she was orphaned when she was only a few weeks old. Her mother was poached, and she was left alone. What else? And the mother is gone. So she was a very small baby, and Lesanju decided to go straight into a Maasai herd of cattle. These were Morans who were grazing the cattle. And then they said, oh, we have a visitor. It's Lesanju, an elephant. Can't believe it. And then they said, oh, but we have to do something that we can remember you for life. And then they took a knife, they cut her ears. They also went on the other ear, they cut it like branding, just like their cattle. And then they released, oh, you go because you don't belong to us. And then when one day we'll see you, maybe in 7, 8 months, years to come, then we'll remember you because we've branded you. And we'll know it was you who came when you were very small. And then they just left helpless Lesanju there. We rescued her, but what next? She had very bad wounds on the ears. We had to treat her with lots of medicine until when she was completely healed up. Working with the elephant is not an easy thing. I remember there's a day when we were with the elephants moving into the field, and then we encountered lions. And then now the lions were already, they wanted to attack us. And then the elephant that we were with surrounded us, and they gave us that protection. They charged, they broke the bush around until those lions ran off. And when they realized that their keepers were safe, then we turned with them slowly and we left the lions go the other opposite direction. So they protect us, we protect them, and all goes well like that.
On the other side of Tsavo National Park lies Ithimba Unit. It is the youngest unit set up in 2004 compared to Voi stockades that were built in 1950. This unit was set up by David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust with the aim of bringing back life to this region, which was taken away by rampant poaching throughout history.
India Tango Sierra One Mobile.
Sierra One endelea.
Huko umekuwa namna gani, malisho imekuwa poa?
Malisho ni sawa, malisho ni sawa.
My name is Benjamin and I'm working with the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. My home area is Makueni, and here we are at Ithimba. Ithimba, we have an orphan project whereby we take care of orphans that are above 2 years, meaning that we get them from Nairobi. Nairobi is the nursery. So in Nairobi, they decide which elephant to go to Voi and which elephant goes to Ithimba. Welcome guys to Ithimba.
Benjamin is in charge of this unit, and part of his responsibility is to provide the orphans, the ex-orphans and wild elephants with water drawn from the borehole. This helps Benjamin and the team of elephant keepers to monitor the state of the elephants and know which elephants are missing and which ones have wounds caused by poisonous arrows. The orphaned elephants also act as ambassadors in bringing back wild elephants to this water trough.
When I was young, my father used to work with the Kenya Wildlife Service, and he used to take us to the park to see these wild animals. Someone told me that there are people who had elephants just at Nairobi National Park. So the next morning I went to the Sheldrick headquarters, and I found out there were other people who had come to try. The manager that time, she didn't know the criteria to use in selecting all these guys. I was just given a job by the elephants that were there that time. And I remember one of them was Yata and Molika, those who have babies, and I'm with them here right now. So I do feel happy for those elephants because they were among those who chose me at that time, back in 2000.
Meet Molika here, who is aged 13 years old. She has been out for the last 4 years now. And lucky now, she has got a wild-born baby from a wild bull, showing how successful the project has been. So the baby, Mwende, is aged 8 months old. She's a happy baby. Molika! Molika! Molika, Mwende! Just wait for some few minutes, you'll be given your diary cubes, eh? Molika!
Mulika is a fine example of a complete cycle of the reintegration program. Benjamin had been with this ex-orphan closely at the stockades for the last 10 years, and Mulika was back to the wild. Unfortunately, she was shot with a poisoned arrow in a bid to poach her tusks. But Mulika successfully escaped to seek help at the hands of the keepers.
These are the dairy cubes, which are good for their health. So the reason why we put on these dairy cubes, we wanted the milk to increase for the better health of the baby. The problem started when she was arrowed. She came with arrow wound, and the arrow was poisoned. And you know, when the poison enters into the bloodstream, it makes the blood to clot. So if the blood clots, then there will be no more production of the milk of the baby. So that's the reason why we decided to put on these treats, so that at least the blood circulation can increase. And by so doing, the milk will also increase for the baby. With the orphans, you know, they come all over Kenya from different parts. And when they come in one area, like when they are brought to Irumba, they just stay like elephants, like one family. And when they leave the human family and they join the world elephants, they will not say, you have been living with people, so we will not accept you into our territory. So they are accepted, and they are taught what they need to learn concerning the world. One thing I've learned from elephants is that they're always united. And if an elephant falls sick or is injured, you find that there are those elephants who stick to that elephant. It's never left alone. And when an elephant gets stuck somewhere, I've seen several cases where these elephants, they come and try to help that elephant to come back to its feet. So it has been interesting to work with these elephants. So if humans can live like elephants, then you will never hear these wars and enmities between people or nations. This world will be a very nice place to live in.